Hello everyone, this is Ajax Savage, and welcome to my Boundless Advanced Centraforging guide. Now this guide is mainly geared towards forging AoE hammers. That being said, the system they've created is fairly intuitive, so I think some of the processes I teach you here will be able to be applied towards forging other gear, such as sling bows and spanners. You can forge almost anything. Anything you can put in there, you can forge. You can even forge a totem. That being said, let's get started. We're going to start with AoE hammers. Diamond hammers. Actually, before I start, I want to quickly review the character skills that need to go into your forger. Basically, you need to have these maxed out, and it doesn't take a lot of skill points. My forger is level 19 right now, and he's got 3 extra points to spare. But vitality needs to be 8 out of 8 because that's going to increase your stability, which you'll understand what stability is here in a little bit if you don't know yet. Power increases your vigor. Intelligence is going to increase your effectiveness. And then this little all attributes boost over here needs to be maxed out at 5. It's going to give you a little bit of points into everything. And then there is one other skill you need, which is the Forging Epic. Alright, so once you have those skills, you can go ahead and start forging. Now, you see a bunch of different gums, pastes, resins, catalysts. I'll explain each one of these as I use them. Alright, so each boon has its own category. Alright, this interface right here is it seems a little complex. I remember opening this for the first time and thinking, what in the world is going on? That being said, once you see the animation and you get a few rounds under your belt, I think you'll understand how it works. Basically, each different type of boon has a category that it falls under. Now, I've listed a guide of all of these categories. It just lists every single boon, every quirk, every defect, all the different levels of them, as well as which tools, weapons, gear, anything it can be applied to, because not all boons are applied to everything. So to start, we want to target the AoE boon, which is the first level is called Flanker's Force, and it is under the special category. So in order to boost our chances of gaining a special boon when rolling, we can apply these special gums. Now these stack. They increase our chance by some arbitrary amount, and they stack on top of each other. They do cost a little bit of vigor to use. Briefly, to go into vigor and stability, each time I use or activate a round, it's going to use some amount of stability or vigor, and or both. And if the stability ever reaches 0 and I try to activate another round, my tools will break and you'll lose them, as well as all the gear or the materials that you forged along with it. So you never want your stability to reach 0. Once you get to 0 vigor, you can no longer activate rounds. The good news is, to set a weapon when you're done, you just need these setting resins, and that does not cost any vigor. So when you're forging, you can, in fact, get your vigor all the way down to 0 and then choose to set them. So firstly, we want the AoE boon first of the 3. We need that to come first, and I'm targeting it with the special gum. I'm going to apply 2 of these, and then I'm going to roll using a boon compound. Now, if we roll and we obtain some other boon that is not the AoE, at this point we're going to immediately deconstruct, because we can't have the hammers we want if we don't get AoE first. The difference between these compounds, it's fairly clear. Each one of them gives you a different amount of boon points, and boon points affects how far this yellow bar is going to go up. and then this little ticker does a little animation and bounces between them. And if it lands anywhere in the yellow, depending on where it lands, well, if it lands anywhere in the yellow, you will obtain a boon, or at least level one up, in some way, shape, or form. But depending on how high within the yellow bar it lands, the more points you gain. So a pure boon compound 3 is going to give us the most boon points. Since our yellow bar is non-existent right now, we're going to use the 3. It's going to bring this yellow bar up to about right here. Alrighty, look at that. Awesome, we got Flanker's Force on the very first one, and it already leveled up to level 2, which the boons have specific qualities as they change or level up. For example, the first level of this AoE boon is called Flanker's Force, and it hits the block in front of you, the one you're swinging at, as well as the 2 blocks to the left and to the right, for a total of 3 blocks. And level 2 is a low blow. Of course, with all these AoE boons, you will have a damage reduction. Even with the full AoE, it's only going to do 60% of the damage of the standard tool. That's why we have these effect gums to target a devastating damage boon to sort of counteract that damage debuff. So now that we've obtained the boon we want, we're going to go ahead and apply special gums, because the next boon I want is devastating damage. Now, in a perfect world, we get devastating damage here, and then we can roll again and hope for a longevity boon, like a boost in durability. The perfect hammer, in my opinion, is full AoE with a damage boost and durability. But if we don't get devastating damage on the first one, that's alright. The durability is not entirely necessary, but in my opinion, the devastating damage combination with the AoE is absolutely required. I'll deconstruct these hammers if I don't obtain the devastating damage in one of these 2 boons. So I'm going to apply my effect gum, and since this already has a ×2 chance, right now, even with one effect gum, my likelihood of obtaining another special trait is still higher than this one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of step them above each other. I'm just going to make this one 3, and if we miss, then maybe I'll apply another one. If we miss the devastating damage, maybe I'll put a 4th one in there. But, okay, so it looks like we got a little bit of yellow bar left, but I think a 3 is still in order. One thing to note about the difference between these compounds is the vigor and stability cost. The Pure Boon Compound 3 is going to cost you 100 vigor, which is the most, I think, at least out of these Pure Boon compounds. I know. So we're going to activate this and hope that we get devastating damage. Looks like the bar filled almost all the way up. Hard hitter. Okay, improves critical hit damage by 40%. The only issue is diamond hammers, I think, have a critical chance of 0. Let me check this. Yeah, critical chance of 0. So, if it's never going to crit, what's the point of having critical effect? In my opinion, I don't really see one. That being said, just for the purpose of this guide, I'm going to put another effect gum on there and roll again in hopes for the devastating damage. In this case, it looks like a 3. A 3 honestly would probably be a little too much. Since our bar can't go any higher than this, a 3 would probably give us enough to go all the way up here. That's a little bit of a waste. However, if I apply a 2, it's only going to jump up to here, and I couldn't miss. If the bar lands outside the yellow, then you don't level up anything or obtain a new boon. I think I'm just going to do a 3 just for safe measures. Now, if we were later in the process, we would definitely be wanting to consider vigor and stability as far as which one we were going to use in this scenario. Alright, devastating damage. Okay, cool. So whereas this critical effect, or this hard hitter boon, it might be useless in my opinion. I'm not sure if maybe my alternate character has a skill effect that might improve the critical chance. But that being said, I'm not going to deconstruct these hammers because that would just take too long to start the process again. Now the trick is, now this is very very important. This AoE boon has 5 levels. Okay, the 4th level is the full AoE. That's going to hit the block you're swinging at, as well as the 8 blocks surrounding it, for a total of a 3x3 square. Now, if we were to level that up to 4 and then accidentally continue and it goes to 5, it goes to what's called random adjacent. Now, I learned this lesson the hard way quite a few times. Random adjacent is just the worst, in my opinion. I mean, it's exactly what it sounds like. You hit the block you're swinging at, and then some random amount of blocks from 1 to 8. I don't even know if it gets that high, as far as 8. I've only been able to break 3 or 4 blocks really at a time, and it's in a random order, so it makes mining and maneuvering through the pathway that you've mined extremely difficult, and it's just not a great attribute to have on your hammer. That being said, the trick is to level these boons up as high as we can get before we get to level 4, or before we get to level 5. So basically, whenever this gets close to 4, or is at 4, that's when we're going to use these trait expansion gums, which, if you read the description, it says a Centraforging ingredient which applies a trait expansion buff, subsequently making it more likely that boon points, or that points will go into newly added boons, defects, and quirks. Now, since we're using pure boon compounds, we're never dealing with quirks or defects. That will be something for another guide. I personally don't mess around with quirks and defects. There are a few quirks that can be beneficial, but for the most part, they're negative attributes that come as a cost for trying to level your existing boons as high as you can. It's a higher gamble to use different types of compounds. That being said, I don't want to get too far into that. That's a tangent I don't want to go into on this video. So I think we're going to roll again. We're going to use a 2. And we're gonna hope that this goes up close to 4 at some point. However, as long as these are going up, I'm okay with it. The only issue is sometimes this doesn't want to go all the way to 4. In which case you get something lower than AoE, and that's never great. However, the level before AoE, level 3, is a cross effect boon. It's going to hit 3 up and down and 3 across, which is actually manageable. I don't deconstruct hammers when I get cross effect, because I mean you can go into a diamond mine and just walk straight through it, as opposed to the random. I mean, you have to jump over rocks, and it's just obnoxious. Again, so it looks like on that roll we missed. If you see the tick, the little white ticker landed just outside of this yellow bar, which means we didn't get any points. Stinks, but it's going to happen. So since we only have a little bit of bar to go, I'm going to use a 1, and even that's going to be a little too much, but we can't do anything about it. The good thing about this, it does not use any vigor. So let's see what happens. Okay, it went into critical. Alright, I'd rather not level that one up, honestly, because right now I'm not entirely sure that it does anything. So I'm going to apply, okay, another 1, because we're almost all the way at the top. Stop leveling into critical. Oh my gosh. Okay, so there are things that I can do to target something other than this. I do not have my trait reduction gums on me, but this trait expansion gum, I could apply right now. I could apply a few of them, and it would increase the likelihood of points going into the newest discovered boon, which would be this devastating damage. However, it does use a little bit of vigor to apply these, and I also don't want to stop leveling into this. Like, when I increase the likelihood of it going here, I decrease the likelihood of it going here, and I cannot stand to keep these at level 2. So for the time being, I'm not going to apply any of these gums. In fact, I actually am going to use this stability paste, which costs 200 vigor and 100 stability, but for the next 5 rounds, all of my gums or my boons are only going to use half of the stability they would normally. So I'm going to apply this. It's going to give me, it's going to show up right here. It's going to show up as like a little 5. And each round that'll tick down 1. Okay. Alright, so we're going back to a Pure Boon Compound 3. Since our bar is really low, should shoot it up to right about where the ticker is, honestly. Oh my gosh. This is quite obnoxious. Okay. Let's try 2. There we go. A little bit of devastating damage. That's not bad. Probably a job for another 2. Again, I'm basing the 1, 2, or 3 off of how high this yellow bar is already. This 2 should shoot it up to about right here. That was a little high. Come on, AoE! Of course not. Alright, well, we're continuing with the 2s. Alright, this is quite frustrating. Okay. Last round of the stability. Our vigor's getting a little low, though. I wish I had my invigoration pastes. My goodness, how many times is it going to level into this hard hitter? That's kind of wild. I have to admit, this little animation is awfully satisfying to watch, though. Alright, devastating damage. I'm okay with that, as long as it doesn't go into here. The problem is, if this doesn't get, no matter how well we do at this, if this doesn't get to at least 3, we're going to deconstruct these hammers. Which really stinks, but... Okay. I might need another stability paste, depending on which compounds we're going to need to use after this. Well, of course, that one went into AoE, but it didn't hit high enough to even level it up. Stability paste, 200 vigor. I think we're just gonna have to keep going. Maybe not. Maybe not. I think I can get away with this. As long as we don't have to use too many 3s, we should be alright. In fact, I'm going to use a 1 here. Even though a 2 would fill it all the way up, a 1 is not going to use any vigor. So I'm going to take the gamble. Okay. AoE, baby, come on. Devastating damage. Oh, we're going to need to use a 3. It's going to hurt the vigor, but let's do it. Come on, AoE. At least get to 3. Land all the way up. Come on. Ah! Alright, well, I'm starting to get a little worried here that we're not going to get this AoE. Because we need to use another 3, which is going to take our vigor down to 150. And we need to get a really good one into AoE. I wish I had my trait reduction gums. Now, the reduction gums are the opposite of the expansion. They increase the likelihood of the earliest discovered boon being leveled. Oh no. Alright, well, here it is. This is the moment of truth. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to spike this 3 right here and hope that it lands right here. We might have another round. I mean, we will have another round. Of at least a pure boon 2. Come on, baby. Of course! Alright, well, this is the last one for sure. If this doesn't go into AoE, we have to deconstruct. Come on! Hail Mary. Oh my. Man, that devastating damage is at... Oh, it's at level 9. It's so good. Why couldn't this be... Oh, man. Alright, well... Rip. Just rip. Deconstruct. When you deconstruct, you only get 75% of the materials that you used back. But again, that's much better of an alternative to just having 4 of these hammers that are just low blow. I mean, when I can make them AoE. It's really frustrating. That being said, I'm going to end this video. We're going to chalk it up to a failed attempt, which is going to happen. I'll start a new one and see if we can have some more luck.